Powell before we move on to our next topic.
Yeah, breaking news in the NFL, according to Adam Schefter. Let me get into it right now. Former Cleveland Browns Jadeveon Clowney has agreed to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. So it looked like we're going to be seeing a couple guys who used to wear orange and brown this upcoming season now wearing purple and black. So Jadeveon Clowney to the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, that's that on that. And
I don't love that.
Yeah.
I don't love that.
Yeah.
I don't either. I don't either. It's just
Because
something.
there's a saying in life, you know this saying well. It's something along the ways of hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Yeah, I lived that.
He's obviously not a woman, and I'm not saying that he is.
Yeah.
Jadeveon, don't take this personally.
Don't run up on me.
But he's been scorned.
Yeah, he's
okay. He got run up out of here in a very embarrassing way.
And
how would he? What's the number one on his wish list? Oh, let me see if I can get to Deshaun Watson and do some damage. And that's scary.
So listen. That is a game where this is now turned. This is
two games.
This is two games where you got OBJ who was run up out of here.
You got Watson versus Lamar.
It's the ex-wives club.
Jadeveon Clowney ran up out of here. And it's Harbaugh who said a lot of different stuff about Deshaun Watson and how he wouldn't have been in our organization doing all that. We ain't giving up no money for that. This is turning out to be a very, very contentious little couple of games here, and it just goes to show you that
it always was before, but now it takes it to another level.
AFC North is the most competitive division in the
I said that yesterday, and I stand by it.
It's week 4, right?
What was you saying about Jet Wills again?
Oh, okay.
This make him more or less important.
It makes the left tackle more important.
Bump him up the list. He's not.
I don't know if it makes Jet Wills more important, but it definitely.
Did you see me and Jay's initial reaction? It was like, "Come on, man!
I know.
Damn,
when
really?"
you said that, I'm like, "Oh God, please tell me this is a joke."
Now I
was going to say he went to Kansas City, or he went.
That's even worse.
He's even in the AFC. No, it's not, because we have to see him twice. We have to see this cat twice. And I'm telling you, and you know this as well as anyone, in baseball, there's a funny phenomenon that's always happened.
Yep.
When players get traded, for whatever reason, you can look at their line scores against all the teams in the league, and their highest average and most production is always against the team that gave up on them.
Always.
Well, that was like when Sherm went from Richard Sherman from Seattle to San Francisco for the year. He said, I wanted to play Seattle twice. I wanted to show them that they made a mistake and let me go.
Right.
On the flip side, and just to put everyone's nerves at ease a little bit, Jadeveon Clowney was not good last season. So he may just be past the cliff. And I do agree with you. If you have to see him twice, hopefully he's not saving all his energy for those two performances. But let's not pretend this is prime Jadeveon Clowney they're bringing into Baltimore.
No, I'm not.
This is on the back end
It's angry Jadeveon
Real quick,
Clowney.
we got a reaction on this breaking news from Bull.
I wonder what Bull would have to say about this. I can tell you what he'd have to say.
He's crying for Joe Burrow.
About him. He's old. He sucked here.
Guys, listen, everybody calm down. Jadeveon Clowney was terrible last year for the Cleveland Browns. He would not go in on first and second down, and you're worried about this guy? It doesn't matter. It's Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, if he plays like a top 5 quarterback, the Browns will be good. If they don't, the Browns will be terrible. This is what it is, G.
You got it, brother. That's it.
So
G-Bull.
With that, tying that all together, Aditi said on this show a couple weeks ago that she was looking for the Cleveland Browns defense to play with a certain attitude, with a certain style of play. And I understand it's preseason. I understand we have not seen the bulk of the starters. But is this Cleveland Browns defense legit? Can they carry this attitude over?
Yes.
Yes.
They just look different. Even the backups.
Yeah.
The backups look different.
I wanted to ask you specifically because you've watched a lot of bend but don't break here in Cleveland. Even with Marty Schottenheimer, they have never been aggressive like that.
No, they have not. And you can only imagine what it's going to be when the Jimmies and Joes change places, but the X's and O's stay the same.
Yeah.
I love this defense with backups. There are third stringers flashing in this defense.
They fly.
This Diabate guy, who I knew was on the roster, but only knew that he was from Utah and transferred to Utah from Florida.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden I'm looking at him like, who the hell is this guy?
He's on the tape. 43, you can't turn on the tape for more than 2 plays without
He
seeing him make a
flashes on
play.
every play.
He's everywhere.
I couldn't take my eyes off of him yesterday.
Do you know what was the biggest standout to me on defense yesterday, though? Or the biggest takeaway? How bad Marcus Mariota is.
Oh, yeah.
I honest to God felt like
Yeah, I think we already knew that. But
he was throwing some duck. Like,
yeah.
Marcus Mariota, he has the temperament of a youth group leader. Like he does the teen night at church. Like he's like teen night. They really do friendly things like juice parties and stuff. It's just and cookies and just no holding hands because that's not godly. We just look at each other.
And that's not to take away from how the Browns defense played, because the Browns defense did play very well yesterday.
Great.
And they fly. They're aggressive. It is literally like watching two completely. You said about taking the names off the back of the quarterbacks' jerseys.
Yeah.
If you put these guys in generic black and white uniforms, the guys we saw in the preseason game versus the Browns defense last year, and for the most part, in theory, the same guys that were there.
A lot of the same guys, but
it looks complete. You would have no idea that that's the same group of players. No idea.
Our linebackers looked good yesterday.
They moved. The defense. Shelby Harris, by the way, he gets off the ball fast.
Yeah. This is going to be a problem.
He gets off the ball fast.
God, I wish we were at week 1. I wish kickoff for week 1 was right now.
The best thing Aditi said, this is so crazy. Remember last year I used to be going crazy about Joe Woods. And the reason why Myles Garrett is going to break the sack record this year and have more tackles for loss, and his team is going to be fun to watch on defense.
23 sacks.
Is because he says something. He says, Aditi said, why do you like playing in this? He says, I don't got no responsibilities. None. He said,
get to the quarterback.
Now plays are happening organically where it's my instincts tell me go over there and do this. And I couldn't do that before under certain people. Yeah. I had to do this and be a robot.
And you could tell he was frustrated with the chains that were put on him by Joe Woods.
And now when you just say, guys, every play is a race and a sprint to the ball, man, a guy with that talent, you're going to start to see his get off, his quickness, his agility, the power. These guys, and it just seems like the rush lanes are so different because even when they're bringing 4, it just seems like the pocket is collapsing.
Right.
And hands are getting up. I'm like, wow, they ain't blitzing nobody. And even when they do blitz, when Schwartz comes with those A-gap blitzes,
which he did yesterday,
I'm like, I don't. This is a jailbreak blitz. I mean, I don't understand.
It looks like it.
How would you block that? You can't. Somebody's going to come free.
You know the word that, and you'll know this because you played the position. The word that I've heard used a lot by defensive linemen that played in a strict assignment-oriented defense like Joe Woods.
Yeah.
And then they went to somebody like Jim Schwartz was it's so liberating.
Yeah.
I've always heard that word.
Feel free.
Liberating. And now I'm going to ask a question that you guys might look at me funny. Was Jadeveon Clowney onto something?
Well, he didn't want to play, so I refuse to listen.
No, he didn't want to play because he had a real problem with the system and the defensive coordinator. But by the way, the defensive coordinator ended up getting run up out of here too.
Dude, he was to me. And you know what? You know how I talk. Listen, I'm all for mine. I had people coming up to A.G. Bush, man. You get a brother some slack, man. You getting a brother. You on Joe Woods. I said, listen, I don't work for the NAACP. I don't work for the Rainbow Coalition. He's a garbage. He's not good. He's not a coordinator. And people are like, hey, man, come on, man. He may never get another job. I said, well, look, bro, I'm sorry. I can only call it like I see it. This man was incompetent. How can you have Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett and you got these dudes out here playing like robots? You're not blitzing nobody. The defensive secondary don't know what's going on.
That's why I asked you, was he onto something?
They hated playing for that defense. Yeah. They hated it. And you know what happens? When you know somebody is terrible and you're putting your time, energy, and effort into it, and you know that everybody knows he's incompetent, when the head coach continues to trot him back out there.
That's why we were advocating to get rid of him during the season.
You lose respect and you don't want to play.
Yeah. And that's where he was.
Yeah,
because he knows I've got so many snaps left in this body, and I'm wasting every single play that I'm in there on a guy that everybody around us knows can't win. And now he probably went about it the wrong way, but you said something earlier about maybe Cade York's, it's just wrong time.
Wrong time.
The whole team's good, not a good time to have a bad kicker. maybe Jadeveon Clowney just the wrong time.
It was
the wrong coordinator and the wrong time.
He was at the wrong part of his career to be sitting. He's sitting here thinking like, well, look, I'm taking 1-year deals, doing this, that, and the third.
Right.
I have a problematic knee that swells up. I got to ramp myself up in conditioning and training and treatment to get myself out there. And you got to think about it. He's not invested in them. They didn't draft him. He didn't play here 5-6 years,
right,
and do what Myles Garrett does. So he's going to be way more vocal than Myles Garrett because Myles Garrett's like, yo, I'm the franchise player. I'm getting mine. They love me here.
Could you see Clowney being a factor in this Ravens defense, which is already a good defense?
Ravens always good,
yeah.
To your point about was Clowney onto something? The answer is probably yes, but I think everyone was onto something. I mean, G. Bush had been saying Joe Woods is running the wrong defensive scheme with these players.
Since 19.
We talked about
it. We talked about in
the preseason last year. Remember, we saw things in the preseason. We're like, they got to make a change.
I mean, if you look at the defensive line,
Brad Sellers, Brad wanted him fired. Like I think after one preseason game.
Let's go unit by unit. Defensive line, seemed to be too constricted, not the freedom they needed, and in the interior,
defensive backs tackles, were running into each other.
Defensive backs, the communication.
They were playing like, he's not my guy, he's your guy.
They were playing zone with guys who were better at man.
But nobody acted on it.
Well, that's my point. Jadeveon Clowney may have voiced it, and because he voiced it from inside the locker room, it got more credence. But let's not pretend that was a massive revelation to the people who talk about the Browns on a daily basis. We had, since the beginning of preseason, questioned, is this the right scheme for the players on the Browns roster?
We knew
we saw it happen in front of our own eyes that it clearly wasn't. And there were no changes made from week 1 to week 18.
None. That was the other thing
and that was the most baffling part. So, in a way, I know it got him out of here, and it really tarnished his reputation in Cleveland.
But he might have been right.
Clowney, don't shoot the messenger.
John Johnson might be able to play. He going back to the Rams. I mean, think about it.
You're right.
Troy Hill
Hill went back to the Rams and looked like the player he was before he got here.
Troy Hill, they gave up picks for this man and money and all kind of other stuff. And they like, we got to get. I'm like, bro, is it everybody or is it your defensive coordinator? Who is it? Yeah. All of them can't be garbage. Everybody terrible?
Right.
And we knew the talent.
With Hill because he was the sample case. He had a body of work before he played under Joe Woods. Then he came to Joe Woods, and we were like, wow, this guy can't play football. Then he went back and was productive again.
He just didn't put people in the right position. And I'm looking at it like this. They found some diamonds in the rough because the Ronnie Hickman guy, he has 3 interceptions. He had another one last week. And isn't it so refreshing to see what happens when you're under pressure? And you actually
got to make plays.
You take the fight to somebody else for once.
Yeah.
Instead of taking a fight, right?
They're the aggressor. They weren't the aggressor at any point last season. And in 3 preseason games, regardless of who's been on the field, the starters for one drive, and half the starters, like Myles Garrett, didn't play. The 3s and 4s in the Hall of Famer and the 2s and 3s yesterday, they're the aggressor on defense. They are making the offense react to what they're doing. And it's so refreshing to see with the amount of talent they have in all 3 levels. But they're not waiting. They're making their team react to them, not vice versa.
Kelsey said it. He said from end to end, the Browns got some of the best players, some of the best players in the league.
The front 7 is one of the best he's seen.
He's seen. And trust
me. He has seen them.
These guys understand. And when I told him, when Jim Schwartz, and he's a no-nonsense guy, when Jim Schwartz is out there letting everybody wear jewelry, I seen the whole starting team on the field. I'm like, dang.
They got their swag back.
I said, wow, everybody got a chain.
We got 5 minutes, but I got to ask y'all about this particular player because he hasn't came up, but I'm pretty sure he's jumped out on film to us in the last couple games. Is Mo Hurst back? Maurice Hurst is out here balling.
Can I say something?
Keep rubbing your stomach, Mo Hurst.
Togiai got a sack.
Yeah,
even Tommy got one.
The thing with Mo Hurst,
you ain't got no job,
Tommy. You ain't got no job, Tommy.
The thing with Mo Hurst is when he's been healthy, he's been really good.
Mo Hurst look good.
He's got to be healthy.
Whenever he's played,
but that's a good.
He's been productive.
That's a good point, Earl.
He just hasn't always stayed healthy.
Yeah.
And if he can stay healthy, that defensive line rotation
They're
just gets better and better. And Mo Hurst, he's a 2nd-round pick, I believe, and he only dropped to the 2nd round because he had a medical condition.
Yep.
And then it's, he's only played 2 games in the last 2 seasons because of health. But when that guy's been on the field, back to high school, college, even in the NFL,
he's a force.
He's been a disruptor.
Yeah.
And one more thing on
We're gonna say
Diabate.
Diabetes is gonna be
It's not diabetes. It's Diabate. He had the safety, the forced fumble. The way that dude is relentless in his pursuit of the football.
Look at that.
Regardless of where it is on the field.
6'4", 225.
He's a physical freak, but it's the effort too. Like it's the little things. We talked about Jed Wills earlier, and sometimes he gives on plays.
This was everywhere.
This is the kind of guy that if he was playing against the Browns and Nick Chubb had an open burst and was going 70 yards downfield, the first player trying to catch him is going to be this guy. Yeah. And there's something about that's enticing.
You think he's going to be in the
and
starting
contagious?
lineup?
Oh no, he's going to start. He's starting.
Over?
Taki is not even playing yet. He's not. Taki not going to be ready for 4 or 5 games.
We're only starting 2 linebackers, so you got JOK and
in a base package, they're going to come with Anthony Walker, JOK at the wheel, and you got this guy playing Sam linebacker on starting off on rundowns. Now think about it like this:
in passing situations, when they only have 2 linebackers on the field, they'll be off.
Now listen, if Anthony Walker is not a A1 grade 1 cover guy, I like the way. Do you imagine the speed with him and JOK? Because JOK act like he want to understand and recognize and move around a little bit.
It'd be the fastest linebacker tandem in football. I don't know off the top of my head, but I have to imagine those two.
Moving like that. The Browns have guys. Juan Thornhill back there. You got, and we haven't even seen Grant Delpit. That's so crazy. We haven't seen Grant. Think about this. We ain't seen Greg Newsom ain't played a snap. Ward ain't played a snap. Delpit ain't played 1 snap. Walker, Taki, Myles Garrett.
Half the starting lineup hasn't played a single snap.
Hasn't touched the field.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Insane. Shout out to Schwartz, because I think this is probably one of the best defensive play.
Depth.
The
depth is there.
He talked about in one of his film sessions about how Javon Curse changed his mind about certain things. He was like, look, I'm not about to have these do container. Javon Curse can't be stopped anyway. And if you're a right-hand quarterback scrambling to your left, you can't even really throw the ball. So why have him contain?
It's true.
I said,
there are some people, though, that don't like that philosophy.
Hate it.
Well, it's sometimes you can give too much freedom, and there has to be some structure. And we're going to see. The Browns went from completely structured to the complete liberation and freedom of a defensive scheme. So I got to imagine this
there is a book out there that all offensive coordinators have on how to beat the Jim Schwartz defense.
Oh, listen.
Now, you got to execute it,
inside
but
zone,
there's a blueprint.
Draw and screen is going to be huge.
That's exactly right.
Draw and screen
exactly
is huge.
Right.
It's crazy. If you're a draw and screen team, if you get the ball out quick to the receivers, tight end, all that, and then it makes you think, because now they're running upfield, and now you got to have the defensive line coming back.
Here's my ending thought of the day. When we take the field against Cincinnati, when you take into account what our kickers look like and how little we've seen all of our starters, there better not be any rust.
No.
Because if there's rust, their philosophy of getting players ready for the season is broken.
Jimmy Donovan did say he expects them to play significant,
they are going to
quote, significant time against Kansas City.
I hope it's a half. And I hope that's enough to get them ready for what most people believe is either the best or the second best team in the AFC. Because in 3 consecutive weeks, they're going to see the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Bengals. So far, we're 0-0-1.
Hopefully, Bull's looking like that after the Bengals loss.
That's a great. We need to keep that. Over.